there is some room in here. So I'm going to see if I can get this fuse box. And this fuse box is overkill. It's got 12 spots on it, but you know what? I could probably put a smaller one in here, but given all the stuff I'm putting on this bike, all my gauges and everything else, I'm going to go ahead and give myself as many as I can get. And if I can't get this in here, then I may switch over to one maybe about half the size, which would give me more room in here. I also need to get relays in here. I got quite a few relays that are going to have to go in here. So yeah, so first step, my plan is it's this, and then there's a cover that goes over top of it. So my plan is to try and get it right here in this spot right here, right in here. It pretty much kind of fits in there, sort of. It's got two plastic hooks here, which really don't have any functionality as far as I could tell. Well, now that I'm looking at it, maybe these are meant to hold these wires up. I bet they are. But I think I can accomplish what needs to be done here without keeping these in here. When I took the headlight housing off, which I was the first one to go into it, these were not hooked on there. And so whether they fell off or they didn't, or this is for something else on another model maybe that this headlight fits, I'm not sure. But I'm going to go ahead and buzz these off to give myself more room, and also to get this fuse box to be able to sit flat right in here so that I can screw it into here on a flat surface. It won't be totally flat down at the bottom, but I'm going to see if I can make something work. So I'm going to go ahead and buzz it off real quick, and we'll see how it fits afterward. Before I buzz those off, I'll show you, if I don't buzz them off, it just pushes it out a little bit more. I wouldn't have a flat surface to mount on. I could probably pull something off, but I wouldn't have a full flat mount surface to mount on. And then also when I put the cover on this, it would block this plug up here, which this is the plug that goes to the speedometer and the gauge up here, up on your dash. So I want this to be functioning. So I'm gonna see if I can get this to sit down further so that this can still plug in and be functioning. So let's buzz it off and see how much of a improvement it makes. Shouldn't cause any harm by getting rid of these tabs. So I'm going to buzz them off real quick. There you go, there's one. It came out pretty clean. I'm going to clean it up a little bit more. It's not bad. Probably clean that up with a knife or a razor blade afterward. I'm just going to get the second one off. And this one's easier to get to. There you go, that came off. That's real clean there. So I can just throw these away now. Now, let's see how our fuse box sits in there now. Should sit a lot deeper in there now. Yeah, so that's quite a bit deeper now, which should give me the room I need. And then when I take the headlight off, it'll just be easy to view everything, you know, be able to take the covers off, be able to see all my fuses, all these lights, my indicator lights if there's a blown fuse, be able to make all my connections real easy, and everything should all just be right here. Good easy service area here. So let me put the cover on, see if I can put the cover on and put it there where I had it, which is right there. Now I'm gonna see if I can get this. Yeah, it looks like it's gonna fit. Yep, that'll fit. So that just accomplished what I needed there. So let me get this all mounted up, and then and then we'll start working on it from there. This is our starting point on our all of our accessory electronics. They're all going to go up here. By putting it up here also, it's going to shorten all of the wires. I'm not going to have as many wires running down the frame to the rear end that need to run back and forth through the bike, which causes a potential for additional problems with, you know, electrical wires rubbing and against things and causing shortages. And it will reduce overall weight as well, of course, not by much, but every little bit counts. And it should just button everything up. The one thing I'm going to need to do though is that a lot of these accessories come with very long wires, and so I'm going to have to cut them all up, make them shorter, but it should make for a much nicer build. So that's the plan. I'm going to get these all mounted. One of the things that I need to do here is, let me take this cover off so you can see, is when I run my screws for this, I don't want to run sharp screws through this plastic because there are a lot of wires that are running back there, and I don't want any screws protruding through there that would cut those wires or rub on those wires. So I'm actually gonna drill holes, and then I'm gonna run just round-headed screws that will come from the back outward, and then I'll put my nut on this side, and that will keep any of my wires from rubbing on anything sharp. So that's the plan. I'll get that all set up, and then I'll show you where I'm at after that. Okay. Alright, so now I've got the fuse box in place where I want it. Basically I put it right on the flat spot where we cleared, and I'm pushing it that way as much as possible so that I can get to the release tabs when I want to take the cover off. I'm going to drill these two holes first. Be very careful not to drill too far through, using an 8/32 drill bit, and not to go too far through it because there's stuff back there, all kinds of stuff, wires, got a front brake line here. You gotta be really careful not to drill too far. I'm gonna drill these two here first, put 2 screws in it, make sure it's in place before I drill my other 2. So here we go. Probably enough just so that I can see it and then mark it. This one's a little tricky because of the yep, yeah, this one's a little tricky. Really helps to have a second person right now if you have one. Let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and remove this. I can see where my hole is on this first one that I'm drilling right there. So I'm going to go ahead and just make sure that everything is clear back here before I continue. I push that brake line out of the way that I had hanging there. Alright, it's pretty clear back there now. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this one. There we go. That's just enough there. So we're going to put 1 screw through here just so that I can get it started. Okay, looks like we have run into our first snag here. I can't get the screw through there because the triple clamp is in the way. So I need to unbolt it so that I can move this housing out, make it easier to work on. So I'm going to do that real quick. And that may just make it easier, maybe, we'll see. Alright, that now has made it so I can get, it might not be too much more difficult to just take this housing off now. Let me see. Let me just pop off. Yep, it does. It just pops off from here. Well, it's loose. Now I have to pull it all the way up. So, just going to put one screw through right now. Just so that it's aligned while I'm screwing the rest of them, or drilling the rest of them. So that everything is lined up. It'll also make it so that when I go to drill, I don't accidentally drill into a wire in the back. May actually make it easier to just remove the dash for right now so it's not in the way. Not the dash, but this box here, the speedometer box. Not sure exactly what you want to describe it as, but so it's out of my way. Okay. Okay. So now that at least that's out of the way, it's really just this here that's kind of in my way as I drill here. So I may just use a little bit of nudging with my arm here to get it out of the way. Just check and make sure there's no wires in the back, and it looks like I'm clear. There we go. Let's just take a peek here and see how that went, because I know it's real close to the edge. Yeah, so I was able to get it. You gotta kind of watch that you don't let it sag down as you're drilling. You want to try and get it up in that corner as far as possible, because there's just barely enough. If you go down any further, you're gonna go too close to this opening. So looks like I got that pretty good there. So I'm gonna put it back for now, and I'll go get one more screw to secure this second one here. Now I'll throw a second screw in here. So that's looking pretty good there. So now I'm going to go ahead and kind of tighten these just a little bit so that this thing's held in place where I want it. Put a couple of washers and a couple of nuts. And that's looking pretty good right there. Tighten this one a little bit. And you don't want to skip doing the bottom too, because you don't want this flopping around in here. Even though it's easy to kind of say, the top two are secure enough. I mean, yeah, maybe, but I think it's better to secure all four, because you don't want this thing jiggling around in here. once you get out on the trails. You're gonna hit some rough terrain, washboard stuff. It's gonna want to jiggle everything loose on your bike. So you're gonna want to, I'm actually gonna, once I get all the holes drilled, I'm going to take it all apart and put the final screws in, and I will be Loctiting them with blue Loctite, so that way none of this stuff jiggles loose. And yeah, sure enough, this one can definitely tighten up a little bit more. I could just go get a deep socket and tighten it easier with a deep socket, but I finally got it. Alright, so yeah, that's pretty nice. Actually, it's pretty snug right there. That's gonna be really nice. Okay, it's time to drill my last two. I'm going to do this one first. And make sure that there are no wires in the back. Yeah, it looks like I'm clear. Be careful. Make sure you pull your wires away. It's easy to clip your wires here. There we go. It went through. I can feel the drill bit in the back. I kept my finger clear of the drill bit, but once it went through, I just wanted to feel to make sure everything was good. So that's looking good now. We'll go ahead and throw in that third screw. Again, trying not to disturb the stock wiring harness and the stock wiring system. Don't want to complicate the stock wiring system. Everything auxiliary, I want to try and keep it all completely separate as much as possible. There may be some things that I tap into the stock wiring harness just to trigger certain relays, but that's really about it. All the heavy draw will come through this fuse box, and basically pull off of the heavy fuse box. So okay, that's pretty tight right there, actually. Now this one right here is a little bit more tricky because it is not a straight shot. This has an angle to it. This plastic has an angle to it, so as you drill through, it's gonna have an angle to it. So I'm gonna go ahead and just drill it, and then the screw that's gonna go through here, the head of the screw, I'm going to put a bend in it so that it sits flush. I think it's gonna be about a 45 bend. Let me just see what it's like when I put it through. So yeah, this, I don't know if this is gonna work, but I'm gonna try. See that or not? I think that worked pretty well right there. I think that just gave me what I needed. I think that's gonna do it. So here, let's see if you can see. It bent now pretty much the same angle as the plastic. I think it's pretty good. I think once I cinch it down, there's a little bit of plastic left over from the drill, and I think when I cinch it down, it's just going to kind of crush it and make it all seal up real nice. So I think I'm going to call that good right there. I think that's, and then if I have excess left over from the screws, I'm going to just cut them off in the end. Unless I can get them the right length before I install them, I might be able to do that. I think that's going to come out just like we wanted it there. We're going to get a nice fuse box. I don't think I can get the cover on right now because those screws are too long. Let's take a look at it. Maybe I might not even have to cut them. Look at that. Actually fits. Without me even cutting the screws. Huh. Okay. So yeah, that's how it's going to look in the end. Well, less the fuses and all the wires, but that should fit right there. And then we'll put the Speedo dashboard back on. Should be able to plug this back into it. Should clear. And yeah, we've got a nice fuse box now. I mean, you can even view that without even taking the box off. And this headlight is really easy to remove. So if you have any sort of an issue, it's really easy to get to this thing. I just realized that the mounting bolt that we took off in order to get this housing on is under the fuse box. So then remove this, set the 2 screws. Before I mount the box, I'm going to need to put the bolts back in to hold this housing back in place again. So